into the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was boring, like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I sit the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic, they dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge to gain show. Sticking out this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. I'm sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let
take us from 1,000 to 1 million. Absolutely it can, but we as humans will often mess it all up. So I am going to share with you really how this can be possible and how to get out of our own ways so it can happen. I will lay this out for you in a clear of a way as I can, but at the end I want to hear from you in the audience live stream and your questions, as well as what your goals and dreams are, what brings you here. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host Jay Rain, and if you like money and crypto and are looking for a real investor's take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family, like this video, and subscribe with that all notifications button on. This is not to be construed as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor sharing with you how I think, what I like, and I can't share with you what you should buy because that decision falls on your shoulders alone, but I can share with you what I like and often do. But each decision, for good or for bad, falls on our own shoulders, which then helps us learn and become even better. Now, let's also welcome our producer in the studio. Thanks for joining us, D.
Hey, what up, Jay? How's it going, man?
So good.
Sweet. Yeah, it's been a hectic day for me.
Yeah.
This is a lot of pressure, like getting it ready and like it's like, oh, we gotta get all these things in place. Like the thumbnail's good and we got the title, we got everything. So yeah, it's like now that that's over, it feels like we can just kind of hang out and chill. So yeah.
And our poor thumbnail designer's like midnight where she's at, right? And she's like, oh, trying to get this done before she goes to bed, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, a lot going into it. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick it off. Here we go.
Let's do it. Now, we've all heard some stories, so we've heard that it's possible to make these kind of returns, but is it real for you? And how is it possible to go from 1,000 to 1 million in a very real way? Now, obviously, it's easier to get across that $1 million threshold when you start with more money, but is it possible to start at $1,000? And if it is possible, really, why do so many people not do it? I think my monitor color is all showing up weird. I think it's fine on your end.
Yeah, it looks good here.
Okay, perfect. Now, question one, is it possible? Absolutely. There's some examples, but the question that might be going through our minds is, why are there so few examples? And that's a great question. There are more examples possibly than what you're aware, but as a percentage, few people do this. So question number two, why do so few accomplish this? Well, really, because we as humans, we tend to do the opposite of what would bring huge growth to us. Because we're humans, we often operate on the fear of missing out or the fear of going to zero, and we tend to buy at the worst possible time and sell at the worst possible time. We also think that this all should happen so much faster than it really takes. So we tell ourselves that we're in for the long haul, but then many people, when we hit this lull in the market or the slowdown, especially if we hit like a solid crypto winter or bear market slowdown, literally I've seen most people just leave. And these kinds of returns are very improbable if we are leaving when the buys are the very best. So here is a step-by-step on how to do this. Now, step one is absolutely picking the right project. Picking the right project and at a good time. So with $1,000, you can't buy a whole lot. It means starting out, you're looking for possibly 1 to 3 crypto projects. You're looking for something tradable on a centralized exchange, possibly like Gate.io or a similar small exchange, is things that are listed on Coinbase or Voyager or even Binance have already had a higher market cap and have the Binance listing priced into it. The reason why I say that versus Uniswap is you know how high Uniswap fees are. You literally would lose $200 trying to make those trades. Now, PancakeSwap and QuickSwap on Matic, that makes it possible. But a centralized exchange like Gate.io often gets a lot of early cryptos that are still in their infancy, where you can make some really good returns. So step two is, after picking the right project, really you're looking at the right time. So you are looking for one that has a solid team, but for some reason their price is really low. This happens because sometimes an interruption happened, or maybe some bad luck, perhaps a hack that won't kill the project, but it has people selling their token like crazy. But as you look into it, you feel like the project will recover because the team is solid and the narrative or the idea behind the project is still good. Remember, timing is so important. If you had been here 2.5 years ago, you would have been hearing about this project called Cardano. And I know you know Cardano now, but rewind time 2.5 years ago, one of the biggest influencers at the time was Chico Crypto. And he was fudding on Cardano almost daily and laughing at it as it was struggling at the time. Tezos had just launched staking, and you probably heard of Cardano a lot stronger than Tezos, but back then Tezos' market cap dwarfed Cardano's, and they had just launched staking, and it seemed like the whole world was talking terrible about Cardano. And you could have picked it up for 2 cents. Well, even though it's retraced from its $3.20 highs and it's currently under $2, that's still almost 100x from where you could have picked it up. In fact, the very bottom you could have picked up for 1.5 cents. But at the time, you would have had to be able to see past all that FUD to be able to pick it up at a very good time. And you know what? A lot of people didn't because they assumed that Chico Crypto knew what he was talking about. Would you say that he knew what he was talking about now that it went to over $3? And even with the retracement it being at $1.80, those are some amazing returns, wouldn't you agree? Now, would you have taken the time to research and see past the FUD that was misplaced or even misguided? Let's look at some present projects that have some things that are holding them back, that sometimes have a bunch of FUD about it, but I think are priced attractively because buying at the right time is critical. Now, you've possibly heard of a project called Ecomi and their OMI token, right? I know a lot of my audience has, and right now, they have some of the top-notch, best 3D collectibles that are really in the crypto space at all. However, they aren't tradable on OpenSea where the majority of money is. They're only tradable on the VV platform. And should you have done really well, and perhaps you made 300K because you just got lucky on one of the drops and you got a really, really low mint on a secret rare or something, or I know one of our audience members got mint number 42 on the Walt Disney collectible. That thing's probably worth 200K. And what did that sell for? $300 on the app or something? 300 gems?
Yeah, $333, I think. Yeah,
$333, which is equivalent to $333. And so those kind of returns, or you could have just been here for a long time and just stocked up, and now you have 300,000 worth of gems, which are equivalent to dollars. But right now, that's not even extractable from the VV app. I mean, you can do some backdoor deals to sell at a discount in order to extract that money, but they don't have the money transmitter license it's going to take to be able to allow you to exchange that back to fiat currency. So there's some things or hurdles in the way, but as these problems get resolved, then the token does even better. Another example is Formation Finance, which I followed for about 6 months. And one of the reasons I've been a big believer on this from the beginning has everything to do with the team. They have one of the best CMOs, Chief Marketing Officers, in the business. And so when I spoke with their team 6 months ago, I was like, this is the right team to do some really good things. However, They recently got hit with a flash loan attack where a programmer essentially extracts some value from the liquidity all in one transaction. And in this case, they only stole about $200,000 worth of value. And I know that's a lot. I've seen a lot of these flash loan attacks extract millions. And so 200,000 isn't as big as I've seen. But that's given the token price a dump. Now, when this came out in our audience, we were hoping that it would not do super well because it came out in July. And we were hoping that it would come down to under 10 cents. I don't remember what the IDO price was, but it never did that. It has finally done that, or it's hovering around 10 cents. Now, the question is always, will the team turn around and do well? My guess is yes, but it actually isn't known for sure, and it never is. I mean, my guess on the Cardano team 2 years ago was that it would come around and their vision would come to fruition, or at least a lot closer to it, and the token price would pump. So, will Formation turn around from here? Yes, I am fully loaded on Formation, and I'm not selling at these prices. I'm just holding. I'm not buying more unless it gets even cheaper. Then I'm going to buy even more because I literally have hundreds of thousands of dollars of Formation tokens. So I will stock up more on it. If it goes down to like 5 cents, I'll just have to. But if I wasn't so high on it already, I would be buying at these prices, personally. Now, another one that I'm a big fan of is Freeway Token, or Aubit, and they just opened their site for U.S. investors to be able to, or their platform for U.S. investors to be able to make some amazing returns on stablecoins and other things called their superchargers. And through their superchargers, they can give you a 20% return on, say, Cardano Supercharger. I do think Cardano Supercharger isn't available to U.S. investors, but you can get a 43% return on their stablecoin Supercharger, or even a 33% on your Bitcoin value through their Bitcoin Supercharger. And that's available in both US and other ones. I do have some links down below if you want to check them out, but there are some problems, and let me go through the problems. In order to fund your account, you have to create a ticket on their platform, and then they send you an email with a wallet address to send your funds to. Now, that's really uncomfortable. We're used to being able to click on something, it then gives us a wallet address. This is what we're used to with exchanges and other services. That's not currently the case on this. So it's not near as smooth as we are used to these days, and it does introduce room for errors. So the adoption of their amazing return rates is slower than it would otherwise be, and their platform hasn't hit massive adoption yet, though it has picked up tremendously. But as they do get it way smooth, and massive people are already using it, where do you think the price of Freeway Token is going to be? Is it still going to be as cheap as it is? It's now trading. It did go to 2.5 cents. It's now back under 2 cents in a retracement. As of this morning, the market cap was 36.6 million. Now, let's contrast this with Celsius. Now, I was around when Celsius was in its infancy too. And Celsius pays some returns on things that you can hold in their wallet, like stable coins or Bitcoin. But their app, it's very easy to deposit and withdraw now. And they've been working for at least a year and a half, perhaps even 2 years. It's been mostly functional or fully functional. But also its market cap is presently at 1.7 billion. I do remember a time when Celsius app didn't work and it was still being developed. And at first it was much more difficult to use. And guess what? In the early days before all these things were ironed out, the market cap was also around 35 million back then. All right, so more on timing because this is important. If we wait till something is already doing amazing, then we've likely missed our chances to get those incredible gains. However, we still are making guesses as to where things are now and trying to see into the future and assess whether the team has what it takes to get into that future that would take it to a really high level. So step 3, let's get back to the right team because this is critical and all 3 of these steps work hand in hand. The right team is also critical to step 1, picking the right project. Now, have you ever wondered why in the Crypto Rain channel, Rain does so many interviews? Because most channels don't. And I know they don't because usually those videos get far less hits. But there is a compelling reason towards my goal for this audience, which is why I still do and will continue to have interviews with the teams. In order to have the wealthiest audience in crypto, it is critical for the audience to have great information, and assessing the team is critical to making our own decisions as to what we think about this team and whether it can carry out the vision that they're talking about. In an interview, especially a video interview, you get a chance to read their body language, just their persona, how they talk about it, what their vision is. And this is one of the reasons I do so many team interviews. To bring you the team, because their team and their experience and connections and vision is what we use to make our best guess on whether their vision for the project is even going to come to be. All right, so we've gone through 3 steps. This last step 2 is integral to it, because if we do really well on these first 3 steps, we might get some good gains, but we might miss out on some great gains. And that is step 4, just be patient. Now, it's easy to say, harder to do. One of the hardest things in crypto is we get caught up in all the hype and emotions, and it will often seem like everybody's bags but our own is pumping. Now, Dee, you've been in this space for about 5 months now, kind of.
Yeah, something
passively
like that.
The first couple months. But
Yeah. I think I bought my first Cardano, was my very first purchase, and it was probably, it might have only been 3 months ago, honestly, maybe 4 months ago. But yeah, I've been dabbling.
I know I called you about 5 months ago to try to recruit you to help me with the YouTube
Yeah,
channel, and you were not focused on crypto at the time at all, but you started to watch it back then. And so you've been an investor now for 3 months. Now, what I love about that is the fresh take. Do you find it hard, just being a human being, on the patient side?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I actually, one of the more frustrating things is I bought a small bag of Freeway token. This was maybe last week, something like that. You and Paul talked about it, and I was like, whew, this seems good. I like it. So I bought a small bag, and then I needed some liquidity. It was the easiest thing for me to sell. And so I was like, I'm just going to sell this Freeway token. I'm going to buy it back. And then it pumped. I mean, it would have been worth almost double. You know, I mean, it's retraced a little bit. And so yeah, I mean, I'm learning stuff, right? But yeah, like the patience is a very, very hard thing. I've already made probably 3, like what I would consider to be pretty bad mistakes because I just wasn't patient enough.
And this is, being patient is hard. And also, you've been in the space for 3 months, like as an investor, but doesn't it really feel like 3 years already?
It really kind of does, yeah. I mean, it's and that's what's I can't imagine where you're at, where you've talked about you've been waiting for this time for basically 4 years, 4.5 years, and yeah, I can't imagine where how it feels for you, because yeah, it really does feel like it's been at least a year for me already.
Yeah, it's funny because there's so much emotions involved in this that it feels like we've gone through so much, and it might have only been 3 months. But in patience, it's critical. Now, it's normal that we have all this emotion locked up into it, and we hear all these about other people's recent success, about how they made 100x on something, but they forget to add in that this is one of 30 coins that they own, and that they were holding, and the others haven't been doing anything lately. And this creates in us a perception that we are failing. And the way our emotions work is that we're even then more tempted to chase gains and to not be patient. Now, the reason I shared the first 3 steps first is that they're critical to huge steps, but we can't forget this step of being patient, or we will sell at the wrong time and miss the tremendous pump. And all that early patience that we had is partially lost. Now, it's only partially lost because at least we got a learning experience with this. Now, step 5, and I'll talk some more about patience in a bit because it's so critical, but step 5 is committing to the right time horizon. Now, how long should it take real life? Because this is real life for us. This isn't some video game. This is real life. How long in real life should it go from 1,000 to 1 million? What's reasonable to expect? Normally, reasonable to expect would be like 70 years.
Right. Yeah. No question. I mean, if you go traditional, right, as far as what they teach you is like putting it into your 401ks or into an IRA or something like that. You know, you're going to get 8 to 10% compounding interest. But if you only started with $1,000, I mean, you're right. It's probably is like 70 years.
70 years, right? So you've got to commit to the right time horizon. Thankfully, with crypto, it isn't 70 years. Though you can get lucky and do these kind of returns in one cycles, it means that you're taking some extremely risky chances, which decreases your overall risk of success, your overall chance of success, and also increases your chance of ending back at zero. We're extremely blessed to be right here, right now. Do you realize still 85 to 95% of the world is still not here? And that's part of the reason that there's still some really good gains here. We're also blessed because the Bitcoin halving happens every 4 years, and that creates a general trend. And when Dee was talking about I've been waiting for this time period for a long time, it's about 3.5 years I've been waiting for this time period because I started October of last cycle 4 years ago. And at first I didn't know about this 4-year cycle, and I was hearing crypto influencers on YouTube and other things saying, yeah, it's just going to keep going up all the way to $1 million. And I believe them because I didn't know how somewhat predictable this cycle is, that every 4 years we have a massive blow off top pump followed by a big retracement, and 2017 2018 was no different, and this is going to be no different either. We're going to have a blow off top and then a big retracement. It happens every 4 years. And so what's great is we're lucky that we have a somewhat predictable trend and a somewhat predictable timeline, although it doesn't play out exactly like it had in the past. And over time, altcoins will decouple from Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is what sets this 4-year cycle, has to do with their Bitcoin halving. But for now, they still have a strong correlation, giving us some idea of what might be coming to make pretty good guesses. And with that, my guess is we still have this massive wave, and it's still coming, and that's going to take most things higher. Now, if someone were to place $1,000 smart, is it reasonable that they might take it to, say, $25,000 or so this cycle? It is hard to tell where the top is, and because it's hard to tell, say they're smart and they take profits, and it would have gone to 50K, but they took profits along the way up and they only got it to 25,000. Does that seem feasible, Dee?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, like based on history, right? Like I'm as you just pointed out, like I'm pretty brand new to this, and so, but just looking at what happened 4 years ago, like yeah, and it is so important, like you say, you know, like, oh, maybe they took it out at the not the wrong time, but they followed some rules, they were disciplined, right, and they pulled it out. And so yeah, they could have gotten to 50K, but you could have gotten to 165, right? You started in the first cycle, didn't you take it from like 15 to 165?
Yeah.
And
but then I didn't take profits, right?
Right.
But if I had been smart and taken profits out, maybe I would have made it to 80,000, but I still would have had 80,000.
Exactly. Yeah. So
because I was still in, I knew exactly where the top was, because I then watched it drop all the way down from there because I didn't take profits the first time. Yeah, so let's say they make 25x from here in that scenario, and they then put that into stable coins, and they get a return on that stable coin for 2 years, waiting till a total crisis in the crypto market. And you're waiting for that time period where everybody is flooding on crypto, and that should be like music to your ears. That's what you're waiting for. And you wait for that total crisis in the market where people are panic selling, and here you're liquid in stable coins. And you hear all these people saying how terrible it is, and you deploy that 25,000, which possibly now is at 30,000 because you were earning a decent return on your stable coins. And so let's say you were earning 10% a year. So after 2 years, that 25,000 would now be worth 30,000. So you're likely near the full bottom of the market. Is it reasonable to assume that 30K could go 35x from there in the following market, having started at the bottom? Absolutely, it's reasonable, especially if that person stays tuned during the bear market to follow a few projects that have great long-term potential but get wrecked just because it's the bear market. Now, I just laid out a reasonable path with steps that can take you to those kind of returns. Does it work? Yes. When I was new to crypto 4 years ago, I didn't know much of what I know today. I had been very successful at real estate investing. However, let me tell you, I was successful after having totally crashed and burned when I first got into real estate investing. But I'm just stubborn like that because Dee and I were talking about this principle, and his wife referenced a book called Start Ugly. And I always say you're bad before you're good, and it's true. Like when you're starting at this, you're just going to make new person mistakes. Now, the reason there is a reason I always bring this up in my channel, and I say it all the time, because as human beings, we think we should be different. We think we should be good at something right away, and if we aren't, we just leave. Okay, yes, you can leave the space. Tons of people do when it gets boring, or if you don't take profits along the way, you make some mistakes. Nobody's going to make you stay. But those incredible dreams you have for yourself and your family, they're on the other side of a lot of hard work, some learning, a lot of growing, and a whole lot of patience. So why would you be anywhere else for the next 5 years? I'm really excited to be here. I've been through that valley and how rough it can be, and we're on this great uptrend, and this isn't going to stick around for forever, but you harvest while it's still summer, right? If you're a farmer, you harvest while the crops are ripe, and then you harvest them and put them in the storage because the winter is going to come again, and it does come. A few words of warning I wanted to share with you. I don't touch meme coins. I don't touch the projects that have nothing to do but tokenomics gimmicks that they hope people will back, like SafeMoon and Shiba. And though Shiba and SafeMoon did 1000x or more, there are thousands of similar projects you could have bet on that are worth nothing now. It's kind of like going to a casino and that slot machine paid out, so you think you can grab a slot machine there and it's going to work out for you like that. And I use that example because your chances are better of going to the casino and having it pay out. And I'm not in crypto for the casino type of luck, because the truth is you can improve your luck tremendously by just doing evaluations of the team behind it. What is their project? What is their project idea? What are the tokenomics behind the project? You can make educated decisions, and you can have a lot more wins than you have losses, especially if you're buying the token at the right price or buying when it's boring. So it's time for a story. Now, some in my audience may have heard this, and I've given this story before, but it's critical to understand this, because if you don't, you will be buying what is already doing well and never get that discounted price. So when I told you more on the right timing, when I was doing real estate investing, there was a guy that I knew from church, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you see that corner over there? I could have bought that." And they're building this big grocery store and like fast food places there now. He's like, "I could have bought that 5 acres or 10 acres, whatever it was, for like $10,000, and now it sold recently for $1 million or $2 million." And he's like, "Man, we could have bought that 10 years ago as a family, and we didn't have 10,000 individually, but we could pull it together as a family and bought it." And I was like, "Well, why didn't you?" And he's like, "Well, because there was nothing here back then. I mean, 20 years ago, this was just a dirt road." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So now, but at the time, you knew that this was going to be a major intersection, or a decently big intersection, right? "Well, yeah, but it was just all dirt for like 2 miles away and everything." I was like, "I can take you 3 miles down the road this way, and we can pick you a nice corner lot that you might pay about $20,000 for it now, but it's miles from where everything's building. And there's a chance that down the road, like, they're going to want a major grocery store there, or at least like gas stations and everything, probably worth like $500,000 to $3 million, depending on how well it turns out." I said, "No, but there's nothing there." Do you get the point of the story? So now that the convenience stores are there, you're not going to be able to pay $10,000 for it. But he keeps hoping that's going to be the case, that he's going to get dropped on his lap some chance to buy something. It's like he's getting a call from Kroger's or some massive food chain or something and saying, "Hey, we want to build." That's just not going to happen. You have to buy it with some educated guesses of what's going to build there and what's going to go there. It's not going to be dropped into your lap of, "Hey, you can buy Bitcoin today for $10 per Bitcoin," when it's trading for $60,000. You have to buy it with some idea and some good guesses of where it's going to go in order to make those types of returns. I did want to take a look at the audience, and I know we also wanted to take a look at, we wanted to talk about holidays, because Thanksgiving is coming up in the U.S. and Christmas is celebrated much around the world. I know Thanksgiving in Canada is on a different day than, but what's funny is the U.S. does direct how a lot of things are going to go. Even though it's so hard to participate in things in the U.S. has so much capital that it does sway the crypto market tremendously, as well as there's national holidays in Asia and other things around this time. And so what's interesting around this season is it's highly probable that part of the reason the last 2 cycles it's pumped so much in November and December has everything to do with the U.S. as well as a few other countries having holidays around this time. And the reason is that people get together in the holidays and they're talking about how their Cardano went from, say they bought it at 12 cents or 13 cents and it's now at $1.80. So they have 10x. And when families hear these kind of returns, they've never heard of these kind of returns before. Yeah, if you had bought Amazon back in 2002 or during the crash 2003 when the whole .com bubble burst, you know, and then Amazon's stock completely tanked and lost like 80% of its value or 90% of its value. It's done tremendous since then, but that's over 20 years. So they're like, wow, you made that kind of money in 18 months? And then they share these stories and they're like, okay, what do I buy? And they see a massive flood of new people coming in. As well as, you probably already know some people, Dee, that are kind of sitting on the sidelines with crypto, that you've talked about crypto, and they're not getting in yet, that all of a sudden my guess is over the next month, they're going to finally be bringing capital in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and one of the most accessible and easiest ways is through Vivi, right? Through Ecomi, and and I have had some experience with that where, where I have some close friends or family who have started to participate in that a little bit. But it has been, it's been months, right, where I've talked to them about it, and then then it takes the having another conversation where I'm like, yeah, this Spider-Man secret rare, it's up to trading at like 18,000 or whatever. I paid $400 for it. Like what, and that's what really starts to to get people interested. And so Thanksgiving tomorrow in the U.S., I think a lot of people are going to be having these types of conversations with their family. And I don't know. I mean, what's the best way? Because some people are going to be like, oh, are you still messing around with that fake internet money? Like what, but then other people are going to be generally interested. So how do you have those, those types of conversations with your family?
Yeah, in the audience, I'm sure you've run into this, right? And like that negative aunt or somebody just laughs at you, right? And here's how I handled it at first was I would try to convince them. I would try to explain to them the technology. And it just doesn't go well because their mind isn't open. So I would actually just kind of crack the door to see if their mind was open and be like, hey, what have you heard about it? What do you think about it? And I would flip around and I would get out of convince mode because trying to convince people is so fruitless and it's frustrating and it will frustrate you. So what if you just flipped around and asked them what they've heard of it? Oh, I've heard. Oh, yeah, are you still doing that magic internet money? Yeah, what have you heard about it? Just flip it right around on them. Oh, this. Because if they're really negative, are you going to be able to convince them? And it's hard because you care about these people. You want them to do well. But trying to convince people makes it less likely that they're going to even open their mind to it.
Yeah, you don't know me in the chat just said I just gave up explaining. So
yeah, I'm looking at some of our comments. Well, thank you. MindChill360 says, awesome video. This is my first crypto run, DJ Blueprint. Gonna run longer than Forrest. I like it. I like that movie. When will the winter come? What month? That's a hard one to tell. I'll tell you my guesses. DJ Blueprint says 1st December. Do you think we go into next year? I do think we're going to go into next year. Realize that the way the market plays out is that it takes the most amount of money from the most amount of people. And so my guess is we have some of the pump this year, and then when near the end of the year when it starts collapsing some or retracing some, people that are a little bit scarred from me from 2017 will often say, oh my gosh, crypto winter is here, crypto winter is here. And here's where I think the trap is. So it'll come down, it will retrace pretty solidly, and then sometime in January it starts taking off and it goes up higher over the next month or 2 months than it had been before, which then gets all the people from 2017 to say, maybe I'm wrong. Oh my gosh, we're getting mass adoption in the world. And then they throw their money in just in time to then have it actually collapse on them. And so my guess is we have a pretty good run this December. And even starting in a couple days, I think Bitcoin's going to take off. When Bitcoin crosses $100,000, it's going to get a lot of people's attention. And you're going to have new money come in. But I think a lot of people, especially in the U.S., the regulatory uncertainty of what taxes, long-term capital gains taxes will look like next year, they're going to realize those gains this year. And so you'll see a lot of sell-off the final 2 weeks of December is my guess. And my guess is that selling pressure exceeds the buying pressure, which is what then drives the price down. And as the price starts to go down, buying pressure dries up even more because people get scared. And so then there's usually some impact with Chinese New Year. There's a lot of money in crypto from Asia, like US and Asia swing the market tremendously. And so sometimes with the Chinese New Year, they go on family holidays and aren't buying, and so a lot of their buying pressure dries up, and there's usually some price collapse around there. But then mid-January, my guess is a lot of altcoins just go crazy. A lot of gaming and metaverse projects, and even a lot of crap projects that are coming out do really well. That's like they've been working on it for all of 3 months, and they strung together some things and have a demo to show, and their token goes 25x or 50x. And likely a lot of those projects will end up collapsing to zero, but my guess is those will do pretty well. Want to check on what you're doing. I gave up explaining. You don't know me, said that. Yes, good job. No opinions when bull market will end. Yeah, I'm just explaining to you when I think that will end. So by May, I do believe in the lengthening cycles, that each time, we don't have a lot of data points to go off of, but I do think that the cycles are lengthening from when the Bitcoin halving is. So I think this run will go longer than it did before. It won't be as sharp as what we saw before, and go longer. And altcoins will be a lot more prevalent. The run on altcoins will be stronger because there's a lot more altcoins with use cases. Freeway tokens use case I'm really excited about, but some of these crypto games like Axie Infinity, I'm not excited about where their market cap is and stuff, but I do think their game will pick up more traction. I think there will be other games that are ready that will come and compete. I'm a big fan of Litcraft. Of course, I'm an advisor to Litcraft, so I'm somewhat biased there. But just because I'm biased doesn't mean I'm wrong on it. They do have a very playable game. In January, they'll be releasing the game. It'll be out of beta. Right now, I think it's in open beta. I think you can go to litcraft.io and follow the instructions to play their open beta. But when the game actually launches, everything will be reset, what you earn. But from there, everything you earn will be yours and the value to create. And they'll have their marketplace ready in either probably January as well. So you'll be able to trade your value and extract some value on it. And the game is so much more playable to me than Axie Infinity, right? It's got crafting, it's got mining, it's got combat, it's got a lot of different things with it. And there will be more games that come out that will be playable and be fun. Because is it true, crypto gaming right now, like our number of options of things that are playable are pretty low. But that won't be the case for very long. That they'll start to come out and be better and funner games, and people will be really attracted to they can make money from playing the game, as well as some of their things will appreciate tremendously. So I do think a lot of these ones will retrace huge. I think it'll retrace mid-year or later on some of the crypto games, and that some might not retrace, but I have no idea which ones those would be yet. It'd have to be something that's very playable, that their market cap's not over pumped up. What I'll share with you that it probably won't be, or that I'm scared it'd be, if you'll show my screen, D. So Axie Infinity, these land, I had some of these. I bought them for $80 during the last crypto winter. They're now going for $70,000. I personally would be nowhere near buying these. Now, could they go up from here? They could. It's like walking on thin ice, hoping it won't break, in my opinion. So I'm looking for things that are an up-and-coming game, not a game that's already #1 market cap, where the mystic land pieces are going for $70,000, and even their most basic pieces of land are going for $15,000.
Hey Jay, there's questions coming in for, I believe that these questions are about Litcraft. So first of all, what is the token name? And then second of all, Todd Lynch asks, if you bought chests, etc., will there be an opportunity to get into the IDO? Do you know those things?
I don't know where their IDO is going to be for Quint. So they have a token coming out called Quint, and what's really cool is they're going to use the money that they raised from this token sale to essentially partner with some AAA level games and be able to bring AAA level games right into their environment. So I can't go into the mechanics of how they're going to do that. It's proprietary. But to partner with some AAA level games, so literally you'll have AAA level games playable through Devio's blockchain that they can integrate into their Litcraft ecosystem and using their marketplace that they already have. So we can get pretty fast to market AAA level games that could be in here as little as 6 to 9 months and be playable, and you can keep your value and everything. So that's the reason they're doing this token sale for Quint. I don't know where the IDO is going to be. I did have some input on the tokenomics and everything behind the setup of that, but not been involved in the discussion. They did do some pre-sales with some different VCs. I wasn't involved in those discussions, and it sold out like they're like that. They probably will do some kind of launch on an IDO. I'd say that they know the people from GameStation really well. Whether GameStation will get it or not, I don't know. But some people over at GameStation have been great connections that I know the Devio team has talked to them a lot, and they actually had some input on the tokenomics as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gamer Token or GameStation gets an IDO launch for their token itself.
Jay, we got about 15 minutes. Do you want to do Q&A now?
Would love to. Yeah, that's great. We got lots of time to look at the comments. I love live streams because I get a chance to really interact with you rather than just reading your comments. Now, lately I've been so short on time, I almost always read your comments. Whether I take the time to respond, it's fewer. I do interact a lot better, really good in the Discord, which our Patreon members get access to our closed Discord. And then when I have time after that, Telegram. But as far as replying to your comments in YouTube, I almost always read them. I don't always have time to respond.
So I almost don't want to... I'm being a little bit petty. Tony TPN has been spamming us a little bit, but he did give us a thoughtful comment right at first, asking about your thoughts on QNT. He says, why is no big YouTuber talking about it? Is there something wrong with the project? The CEO's background is incredible, including the team. So that was the thoughtful comment, and then he's asked for it about 3 or 4 more times in the chat, which, we're going to talk about it.
Well, yeah, I don't want to reward spamming. Right?
Well, it hasn't been that bad. I'm being a little bit. I'm being a little silly with him, but yeah, he's asked a couple of times. But it was a thoughtful idea.
Distributed lesser for faster, more efficient growth. I literally know nothing about this project, which is interesting because it's in the top 100, 65 market cap. Right? Let's look at their price. I mean. Okay, so nice retracement in a bull market. See, this is why you take profits on the way up. You never know when this retracement is going to happen. The bull market isn't over, so this probably isn't the all-time high. I don't know. Obviously, you like the CEO a lot, which makes a difference. I mean, teams make a big difference. But when you have this kind of price growth, this kind of retracement is normal, and it will probably come down to at least this level where there's some solid resistance, right? Because what happens is a lot of people buy in at this point, so they can still sell here and be in profit. All these people that bought in down here can all sell at profit, and they get scared. They're just human, so they sell. And they're like, man, I should have taken profits before, and so they take them now, and then it comes down to a resistance point. Could even break lower again. I mean, their overall market cap is at $3 billion. Man, really good buy here, right? Last year, this is why it's amazing to be here in the crypto winter, because now it's trading for $226, and you could have bought it for $11. And so this is why stick around during the crypto winter. It's going to be amazing. So you still want to do due diligence and stuff, but you could almost you can make a list of 100 projects that are still alive and working, throw a dart at them, and do pretty well and hit 35x or more. So it's a great time to be here. That's why I say stick around for that. But beyond that, I won't be able to go any deeper than that right now, other than just looking at their website, their video. Okay, I don't know, other than it's just going through normal price retracement, and that's totally normal. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and they haven't even taken a full step back yet.
Question from Rip Curls. This is an interesting question. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Why do you think OMI isn't higher, only lower, given there's not many exchanges? Shouldn't the limited bottlenecks be overwhelmed by the demand to buy and push the price higher?
No, because a lot of people aren't buying it yet because it's on such limited marketplaces, and as it hits easily, because people hate going to an exchange that they're not used to, and then go to, like, there's only a couple that it's on. And so some people don't trade outside of Binance or KuCoin or Coinbase or Coinbase Pro and stuff. That's why when it hits these exchanges, it usually can then go a lot higher and have a lot higher trading volume. So that's absolutely holding it back. I feel like, so this is a crypto project that is massively cash rich, even though they've grown their team and expanding, but they're actually delivering something of value that's being picked up by the marketplace really, really well. They're getting some of the best licenses in the world. They are crushing it as a business, and their market cap is, let's look at it. So I love Omi. It's extremely undervalued in my opinion at the current price. They're still 97 on CoinGecko's list of projects where their market cap is. So they're at 1.5 billion. I feel like that this can easily go to 15 billion. It could go crazy to 100 billion. But for that to happen, it would have to be tradable on, say, Binance and Coinbase to get that kind of volume, and almost have to hit in the psyche of a meme coin. One of the advantages of it is it's so cheap, because even when it goes 100x from here, that's still only 60 cents. And so people are like, oh, it's so cheap. I just picked up 1,000 Omi at 60 cents a piece, right? And we'll be like, you bought it at 60 cents. And we'll have YouTubers, that don't cover crypto all of a sudden talking about their massive $1 million investment into Omi token at, $1 a piece. And we'll be like, oh, man. Yeah, I sold to that person. Thank you, by the way, because I was selling at $1, not buying. Yeah, so Omi has a great future. This team has been nailing it, and they have been under-promising and over-delivering. And there's been some hiccups, and I got kicked out of the app on that really big drop, the first Disney one, and I was
Simpsons
frustrated.
One, a bunch of people got.
Our manager, doctor of stuff as well. Super frustrating, but it's just part of it.
Yeah. Hey, Claybomb, our friend from
yeah,
a couple,
that won the castle.
Yeah, he won the castle. He says, I've been holding 18,000 Cardano since $1.15. I'm tempted to move some of this into these riskier metaverse projects. Running out of patience on Cardano. Thoughts?
Yes, that's so normal. And right as you then sell it, metaverse projects have been in the narrative for a while, right? So what are you going to buy? Like Sand, Decentraland. Their tokens have pumped tremendously. So you will be you'll be selling ADA at a low, rolling into these. And this is where it gets you, is right? The patience is just so hard because you bought it at $1.15, which you bought at a pretty good time, and it ran all the way up to $3.40 and now has retraced all the way to $1.80, and it's getting close to your buy price. And when that pressure gets the most, the fact that nobody's talking about Cardano, except everyone's talking about Cardano yesterday and today, because apparently that exchange eToro, which is out of Israel, delisted them. And I'll tell you, that's some political shenanigans, because Cardano is just about as decentralized of a third-generation blockchain as you can get, and the way they handed it off. So the chances that it actually gets deemed a security is low. Japan, which is even rougher on things being deemed a security than the U.S., has Cardano on their exchanges. And so if Japan says it's not a security, the U.S. is way less likely. That's just some pressure being applied by somebody to get eToro to FUD them for whatever reason, right? Probably a competitor or somebody that doesn't like Cardano. And Charles, he's a love him or hate him type of guy. You either love him or you hate him, and there's some people that hate him. I don't get why they hate him. I think he's incredible. Smart, genius, great. Do I have all my eggs in that basket? No, but do I have a lot of them? Yes. And I'm not selling now, even though it's tempting, right? So just one of the stubborn principles I have is I just don't sell at lows unless I know for a fact that I'm throwing into something that is a way bigger low. And Metaverse has been in the narrative for a while. Look for a pullback. I mean, some of the stuff like Blocktopia went like 800x or 1000x and stuff. And so they're due for some retracements. So unless you know you're getting an entry price at the IDO on something that'll be hot, more likely you'll end up worse off than if you just kept it in Cardano. Is my thought of what I'm doing, because I still have 100,000 Cardano. I have staked that, it's earning me interest and everything. And so I just have it there, and I'll sell it when it's back at a high, or unless I know that I'm rolling into something that is so undervalued And right now there's things that are undervalued, but I'm talking about such a deep discount that I know I'm going to do well by selling it, and there's nothing I've seen that I have that kind of confidence in.
Yeah. So Claybaum just said, "Hey, great advice, thanks, Jay," which is great. So just a reminder to everybody: if when you're asking for something, it helps us a bunch if you can give us a little bit more than like the token symbol. If you give us something about why you like the project, or a little bit more about the question, that helps us. But we have Ion X says, "Congrats for the show. Are you still bullish in Solbank?"
Yes, I get this question a lot. I hold a lot of Solbank, like $35,000 worth in US, and it might be a little bit down from that, like $30,000 worth, because I checked the price a little bit ago, and that's what I did some numbers on it. Now, it's a risky project. It's a low market cap. I think they raised $2 million total in funds. I get this question a lot because I'm one of the few people talking about it. It's in the privacy narrative, which is totally outside of what everyone's thinking about right now, right, is privacy focused. But this wallet has integrations, or it will have integrations, that allow people to bridge from Monero over to the Solana ecosystem. Also, you'll be able to mask the sender and receiver through their transactions on their wallet. I think that's huge. And what's funny is, because the market cap is so low, it's probably even under $1 million right now, it doesn't have to do very well for us to do extremely well. So if it goes to a $200 million market cap in the bull run, that's still nothing. In the bull run, that's a tiny market cap. Say 3 months from now, like, your average project will be at a $500 million market cap, your average project with a good team. If it goes to 200 million, we made incredible stuff. Now, could it go to zero? Yeah, the team could have a fight, fall apart, and disappear. I've heard people complaining, oh my gosh, they're not doing any marketing. Their admins in Telegram are slow to respond. There's a whole bunch of people fudding in it. Like, 2 years ago, I was in the Cardano Telegram, and there were all kinds of people fudding in it when it was at 2 cents, because people chase price. When the price is down, they start fudding like crazy, and it's like, that's usually a buy signal to me, not a sell signal, unless there's real legitimate reasons to sell. What I'm looking for legitimate reasons, if I know the team is having a complete breakup and the brains that got me involved in the team is leaving, I'm selling. But short of that, almost never. And sometimes I'm so stubborn that I'll just watch it go to zero or the gains. And I had that stubbornness with Axie Infinity. When I bought Axie Infinity, it's great to look at them now, and they have this amazing project that's gotten adoption. But it was 3 guys in a dinky little room when they did an AMA, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think their narrative is good and their timing is good, but do these guys have the ability to pull this off? I don't know. But then they got backed by Animoca Brands, and Animoca Brands gave them some more money, and they hired better people, and they've also grown as a team too. They're not the team they were when they started this. And so they're the right timing and right narrative. And so now it's done amazing. It's like, yeah, I would have invested in them like 2.5 years ago, but would you have? Would you have, like, if people are flying out of Solbank now, those are not the kind of people that are ever going to make these 1000x returns, because, like, you got to see past that emotion to, okay, yeah, the team doesn't have a lot of transparency. They're in a privacy app, so they're not, like, fully doxed. I don't even know that they're partially doxed. Why? Because the same reason Satoshi did not release his actual name. So there's just some things that make sense to me on that it's a risky play. I have that. Now, $35,000 is not a huge part of my portfolio. I can take that risk. And if it all goes to zero, it all goes to zero. Will it? Probably won't. It'll probably do pretty well. There was one that I saw in here I really wanted to get to. What will happen to crypto if the economy collapses by Recovery Plus?
Yeah, and he's been spamming a bunch, so I don't know if you want to talk about that a bunch.
Well, shoot, that's such a good question. Just repeating the questions over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it. It's interesting, right? But yeah, I mean,
way interesting question. So just so you guys know, just spamming those questions isn't fair to everyone else. If you have a good question, we'll find it, and if it fits, and so super chats do bring your things to the top of attention. But if you're asking me to review a scam coin or a meme coin, I'm not going to, even if it's a super chat. So that is a good narrative, because I think about this all the time. How is it going to play out? Well, it depends on what collapses the economy. If it collapses the economy because everyone loses faith in the dollar and the euro, then where are they going to go? cryptocurrency, right? So yes, the economy is looking for some hard times. The politicians are making bad choices. They think they can just print their way out of problems. No, they're putting on so many restrictions on businesses that it's causing the U.S. making a lot of dumb decisions right now. Supply chain crises, they're absolutely politician created, and this leads to big problems because wealth is created by production, and if you interrupt production, you decrease wealth, and printing of money doesn't increase wealth, and wealth is created by more products and cheaper services. It's not created by politicians printing money. That just gives more money to then try to buy those assets, but it greatly inflates things. So the U.S. and every country is doing this. Funny enough, the dollar is really strong versus other currencies. Why? Because other countries are doing this worse than the U.S. It's just the U.S. is more visible because to some extent they have freedom of the press, more than other countries at least. And so it's just more visible and transparent, all the problems that are happening in the U.S., but they're happening everywhere. And you can tell because the euro is even weaker than the dollar is, and many other currencies are too.
We got about 2 minutes. You want to take one more?
Let me real quick thank our sponsors, OneChain and NordVPN. We'll have, next time we didn't have time for the Rain is Always Right segment. Maybe next time. We're also going to create some other fun segments to break up the live streams with. But OneChain themselves has built a really great bridge over to Kusama's Moon River, and I've been playing around with that. That's been a lot of fun. So Moonbeam is going to be the one on Polkadot. Moon River is the Kusama version of it. And OneChain has already created a bridge over to Kusama, at least Kusama's Moon River. And that bridge was smooth as butter. So I sent some Wan over there, bridged it over to there, and been playing around with, it's called on Moon River, it's a farming site, Huckleberry fin or something, and staked some liquidity and played around with that bridge. I was surprised just how smooth it was. So thank you to OneChain. I've been following their project now for 3 years. I'm heavily invested in it. I have about 130,000 into OneChain and their ecosystem because I'm a strong believer. And they did come to us a month ago and asked us if they could sponsor us, and I said absolutely. So thank you. It's kind of like Nike comes to you when you're already wearing Nikes and says, "Can we sponsor you?" It's like absolutely. I love your project. I love where you're going, and I love where your price is at because I do think it's undervalued. Still, even though it's trading around $1, I think it's going to do a lot better from here. That's my opinion on it. NordVPN, we partnered with them because I asked Dr. of Stuff, our business manager, to research what is the best VPN for the price because crypto and VPN goes hand in hand. And so after a couple of weeks of research, he said NordVPN had the best price versus the security from what he was reading. And so we reached out to them to see if they would sponsor us, and they did. So that's how that sponsor came to be. Link for NordVPN is down below. We got time for one more question?
We really don't, but what we do have time for is we got to talk about the Wan giveaway. So what do you want to do for that? Because 125
yes.
Wan is going to come out.
If you're here till the end of today, now what I want to do this time is instead of giving away in the live stream, I want to tell you that I want to hear your story in the comments, not the comments on the live stream. You got to back out of that, go to the comments in the actual thing, and we're going to read through those. And I want to hear your story of what brought you into crypto and what you're trying to accomplish, because that gives me a better ability to see what your goals and dreams are. And I would love to get to know the audience better, and what better way is that? And then we're going to pick one of those stories, not necessarily the best story, just one of those stories, because everyone's story is what it is. I don't want you to lie about it or feel pressured to lie about it in order to try to win. Just say what your story really is, and we're going to give it Friday. We're going to give it to one of the people who put in the comments section below their story. And 125 Wan is worth roughly almost $125 today. But if Wan does what I think it's going to do, is going to be worth a whole lot more in the coming months. So thank you for joining us, everyone. If you're ready to level up your crypto game and haven't subscribed, subscribe. We think of things like investors here, and we talk about it like that so that you can get a different opinion, because a lot of people really just crypto news channels. They don't really think like investors. And if you're new, you don't really know that. But watch for that in their mind when they say it's a good deal and they should buy now, and then it retraces always from there. If they do say it's a good deal, they should be able to tell you why it's a good deal, and that why should make sense to you. So now I'm not new to investing. I've been in crypto for 4 years, but prior to that, 20 years in real estate and other types of investing. So I have a little bit of an advantage there. Now it's time for our Rainmaker family wrap that'll reinforce the principles that help us make better decisions and help us towards the most successful and informed audience in all of crypto. We'll see you next time.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, right before you could, was told to buy when it was boring like a rainmaker should. Or buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I sit the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart.